What's good, y'all? This is Randall Branch. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we have our first ever Q&A on the channel. Let's get right into it, y'all. Now, this is our first Q&A. We're gonna do a part two, obviously. We are a small channel right now. I didn't get a whole bunch of questions. We got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 8 questions, so it's not gonna be a long video. But as the channel grows, you guys keep on throwing in some questions. Obviously, I do my video requests too, but I'm gonna post another Q&A. I'm thinking maybe once a month, right? And obviously, we talk about mindset, fitness, bodybuilding, nutrition, dating, relationships, and women and mindset. We talk about everything self-development related, looks maxing, right? So anything you guys want to throw my way, I'll be glad to answer. Let's get right into it. And comment below your questions for Q&A number 2. All right, let's get right into it, y'all. So the first question is athletic female physiques that I find attractive. It's not the exact question, but basically she asked, what are some athletic female physiques that I would rate the highest? And she said regardless of era. So I think when she said regardless of era, she's kind of flipping, because I talk about, like, in this channel I talk about like golden era, silver era, like modern, like bodybuilding and stuff. So I think she was kind of like flipping that and asking me the same question but for females. But I'm gonna keep it a buck. I can't tell you, and I know there are like female competitive bodybuilders which I don't find attractive, right? So I'm gonna kind of like give my own spin to the question. So I'm just gonna tell you like body types that I find attractive, because I can't give you like eras and stuff like that, right? Me personally, I love like a nice, lean, like attractive physique, right? Nice, lean. And here's the thing about women too. Women can get away with more types of physiques than men. Like, women can get away with different type of body types. There's different body types that, I'll put it like this. What makes, in my opinion, what makes a man attractive to a woman and what makes a woman attractive to a man is literally just looking healthy, right? Nice hair, nice skin, right? Unfortunate, well, it's not unfortunate, it's just, it is what it is. Height, to women usually signals health, right? It's literally like, muscle, things like that just signal health. So for me personally, I think women can get away with more types of body types that signal health to men, if that makes sense, as opposed to with men there's only one or two different body types that really signal health to women. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, as a woman, you could be like, have a little bit more body fat on you, a little bit thicker thighs. Maybe you're heavy up top, maybe you're heavy up bottom, maybe you're not heavy at all. Like, maybe you just have a nice, really slim physique. Like, there's so many different things that women in different body types that women can kind of pull off where they still look healthy and attractive. Whereas a man, like, I believe that you could get too much muscle. I believe that you could get too much fat. I believe you could have not enough muscle. I believe you could get even too lean. Like, as a man, I feel like it's a very shorter window that will signal vitality and health to women. Does that make sense, guys? So I say all that to say I'm attracted to a few different types of body types, but my favorite is just a woman who has a nice body for sure. Like, I'm cool with like a woman who might be heavy up top, heavy up bottom. Like, that's cool, right? But I really like a woman that's just nice and lean, right? Personally. I could do a woman that has like a little bit of body fat, like, a different type of body type where she might have like thicker thighs. That's fine too. See, I can't choose. I really believe that women could get away with so many types of body types, and there's so many different ones that I find attractive. But recently, I'm just gonna go off like my recent encounters. I've been really into like my lean, like yoga type physique. You feel me? Like that yoga dance type of physique, nice and lean. She might have like some abs, right? So that's a little bit leaner. But I also can get down with a woman with some thicker thighs. Maybe she might be heavier up top. I just love women, bro. I like a woman who's in shape. And again, I believe women can get away with different types of body types, and multiple of those body types can still be in shape. It's not the same for men. Long-winded answer, but that's just like me straight off the dome how I'm feeling on this beautiful June 28th. Y'all feel me? So let's get into the second question. What is my favorite food? My favorite food, I'm not gonna lie, my favorite food for a while was potatoes, but recently it's just been rice, guys. Like, just grinding up rice. I guess potatoes, you can still say potatoes are my favorite food, but I'm very active, so I eat a lot of food. And one thing I've been looking to do is bring my fiber down a little bit because I don't want to be bloated. Too much fiber can actually bloat you. And this is something that I want to talk about. A lot of people try to fiber max. You want to have your fiber in a good place to where it's keeping you regular, but you're still not holding food and your digestion is on point. If and this especially becomes apparent if you have a high maintenance or if you're bulking or whatever, you have to eat a lot of food. You don't want to have a whole bunch of fiber, right? And if you're already active and drink a lot of water and walk a lot, you're already going to be pretty regular. So you want to really make sure that you're not overdoing fiber. So potatoes and oats used to be like my favorite because I'm a high carb diet. I eat more carbs than protein, right? So potatoes and oats used to be like heavy staples in my diet. I still eat them, but I've been doing a lot of cream of rice, and I've been grinding up my own cream of rice. So I guess I could say my favorite food would still be potatoes, but the food I eat the most is white rice. Okay. Let's get on to the third question. Do I fast? And if so, how long do I fast? I do not fast, guys. I'm actually pretty anti fasting. I believe fasting is overrated. I believe it's not aligned with like an athlete's mentality. Let me get some water real quick, y'all. Some good ass water. When I say athlete's mentality, I mean, I really view myself as an athlete, and on this channel, I preach you guys viewing yourself as an athlete too, right? Living an active lifestyle, being healthy, having a healthy metabolism, all these things. So when we start talking about fasting and 1 meal a day and all this stuff, like food is not the enemy, guys. Just eat healthy. One of my favorite things to tell you guys is that you already fast a good amount. I want you guys to make sure you guys are sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. And most of you guys are probably going to stop eating a couple hours before bed. So let's say that you sleep 8 hours a night, and let's say you stop eating 2 hours before bed. That's already a 10-hour fast. Like, you don't need to fast a whole bunch, guys. Not only that, but one of the best signs of a healthy metabolism is waking up ready to eat. That's a very good sign of a healthy metabolism. I know a lot of people think certain things with metabolism are kind of bro science, like kind of like the example I just mentioned, or eating every few hours to keep the metabolism going. Like a lot of people think that those things have been dispelled and that is bro science. But me personally, I like to eat every few hours. You keep your digestive system going, and your digestive system does need a break. But that's when you go to sleep and you stop eating before bed. Your digestive system gets 8 to 9 hours, possibly 10 hours of rest. Right? You should wake up hungry, bro. Like if you're lean, male or female, if you're lean, if you're active, and your body use those nutrients that you ate during the day to repair cells and to repair tissue and repair muscle, damn, then you should wake up that morning ready to eat. You really should. This whole I don't understand how you guys could potentially wake up and not eat for like 5, 6 hours if you're lean, right? And I know a lot of people who are lean do preach intermittent fasting, but this is my opinion. Am I saying that you can't intermittent fast or that you can't do all these things? No, I'm not. Right? At the end of the day, if you want to lose weight, it's calories in, calories out. But my goal is to get you guys to go beyond the just losing weight. Like I'm not a weight loss channel. Yes, weight loss is cool, but when we talk about having a nice, lean, athletic physique, male or female, food is going to be your fuel, right? Food is very important. Energy is very important, right? Um, so I'm not gonna push anti-food stuff to you guys. I'm really not. And I believe fasting is like an anti-food type of gimmick. I'm not on that shit, bro. So me personally, the only time I fast is at night. I don't eat while I sleep, so that's the only time I do my fasting. How did I deepen my knowledge about fitness? I actually love this question. This actually wasn't a question that was directed towards my Q&A, but it was a question on that somebody left for me on my bulking for skinny guys video. Check the time real quick. It was a question that somebody left on my bulking for skinny guys video, and I wanted to just throw it in the Q&A because I wanted to get in on this topic. And the guy asked me, how did I deepen my knowledge around fitness? He said I'm very knowledgeable, and he's just wondering how I deepen my knowledge. And I want you guys to know two things. Number one, that trial and error is your best friend. That's why I've made multiple videos, and I will continue to make multiple videos about the power of failing and the power of just making mistakes. Because when you fail, when you make mistakes, you learn from your mistakes. Like there's so much I've learned about building muscle, getting a lean athletic physique, getting lean, staying lean, nutrition, hydration, certain exercises, form, technique, sleep, right? All these things I've learned about, supplements, right? And the list goes on and on. All these things I've learned about health, fitness, nutrition, and bodybuilding has come from my trial and error, right? And then the second point to that is a passion, right? I have such a passion for fitness, such a passion for nutrition and health and bodybuilding, old school bodybuilding to be exact, right? And building the leanest athletic physique I could build. I was talking to a chick a few days ago, and I was like, I know it might sound kind of corny to you guys, but I don't give a fuck, bro. Like we were just talking some shit, and I don't know how it came up. I think she was asking me like my fitness goals, and I was telling her, yeah, I want to build like I want to look like a statue. Like I just told her, like that's really like my fitness goals. I think she was asking me about some shit, and I was like, yeah, my goal is to like look like a statue, like real talk. And when we hung out again, she brought it up. She was like, "Oh, that's like a statue." Huh? So we were kind of talking shit, but that's really like my goal, guys. So me having the goal of building my best physique possible and the passion that I have for that allows for me to be able to tap into certain doors and learn more about knowledge, learn knowledge that will help me with my fitness and bodybuilding and achieving my goals. So that's like a two-part to that, right? Number one is trial and error and making my own mistakes, right? Getting all the way up to 250 while being 2.5, actually, yeah, 2.5, 3 years into my fitness journey at that point, perma bulking and getting fat and taking knowledge from people who didn't have the physiques that I want and stuff like that, and redirecting to learn from my mistakes and to learn how to fix my mistakes. And then number two, having the mindset of wanting to build the best physique I could build, right? Having that statuesque physique and learning what will help me do that, as well as what can I do to learn to help others build the same, right? Because when I say build a statuesque physique, I'm literally just saying build my most aesthetic physique, which is what a lot of you guys want to, right? So that's how I've learned so much about fitness, nutrition, health, bodybuilding, etc. From trial and error, right? Making mistakes, failing, and then for the love of the game, right? For passion. Let's get into the next question. Actually, these 4 questions are all from the same person, so shout out to this guy, right? He said aggressive cutting when already sub 15%. He asked me my opinion about that. Stupid as hell, right? And I know I haven't really been talking about me getting shredded. I'm not cutting. I am like slightly cutting, but I've actually changed my mindset around like cutting once already sub 15%. Because I just kept on running into issues and stuff like that. And I realized that a lot of people who go from like 14 to 10%, 12 to 8%, whatever, a lot of people that go from lean to shredded, number one, they're either on gear, or number two, they just go through hell behind the scenes and they don't tell you guys what it is. I've told you guys my issues with sleep and with energy and stuff like that. I'm not gonna sit up here and say that 8 to 10% body fat is unsustainable, but you definitely have to be very strategic when you do so, right? And the last thing you need to be doing is doing an aggressive cut. Um, and I don't want to go too far off into this topic. I don't want to make this Q&A too long. And I also want to make another video on this. But Greg Doucette kind of has this mindset of main gaining, where once you're already in shape as a man, once you're already between 10 to 14% body fat, you kind of just stay in that zone and you build muscle. That's the same mindset I have with cutting. Like if you're already lean and you want to trim down, literally just eat a couple hundred calories below maintenance until you get shredded, right? If your maintenance is 3,000 calories, if you eat 2,900, eventually you're going to get leaner. If you eat 2,800, eventually, like, yes, you got to be very on point with your calories. I'm not saying it has to be 100 calories, but anything above 500 calories, losing anything beyond a pound a week when you're already lean going to shredded, I disagree with. You want to be somewhere between 100 to 400 calories. That's my new mindset. And again, somebody would ask me, how did you learn so much about fitness? This is my new mindset from fucking up trying to get shredded so many times, because I'm trying to get into even like something like a 600, 700 calorie deficit. When you're really lean, bro, like when you're 12%, the body wants to keep on to that body fat, right? And again, there's so many videos I can make about this. But to answer this guy's question, aggressive cutting when already sub 15% is stupid as hell. Aggressive cutting, even at 25, 35, 45%, I wouldn't necessarily promote. But it would make more sense. They could get away with being in a more aggressive cut because they have more fat on their body, right? When your goal is physique, not just losing weight, you want to shed the fat off, you want to keep muscle on, right? A lot of people think that losing muscle on a cut isn't common, and that like the adage is that, oh well, you don't have as much muscle as you think, so that's why you're like, when you lose weight, like, you know, you're really, it's all fat, but you don't have as much muscle as you think. That is true, but the flip coin to that is that the flip side to that is that it's very easy to lose muscle on a cut, especially when you're lean and especially when you're natural, right? Your body will start burning down muscle for energy if you don't carb right, if your sleep isn't right and your cortisol is too elevated and you do certain things. So you have to be very strategic when you're looking to get leaner, right? Again, my goal, I mean, my mindset around going from lean to shredded nowadays, from the mistakes I've made and from what I've seen other guys do and the mistakes that they've made, is literally figure out your maintenance, right? Standardize your activity and everything so you can figure out your maintenance and eat somewhere between 200 to 400 calories below that until you get as lean as you want. And then once you do there, you slowly reverse diet up back into your maintenance calories. And then if you want to bulk, then you eat another 100 or 200 above that. But you really have to dial in your calories. That's my opinion. I don't believe in aggressive cutting for anybody, but especially if you're already sub 15%. The next question he asks is how to make a deficit easier. And that kind of goes into that question I just answered. You make a deficit easier by being in a smaller deficit, right? These huge deficits, guys, the body really does not want to be in a huge deficit. Again, I've learned so much about this. Like, you really fuck up your hormones, your T3, your T4, right? Your metabolism. That's another thing, that the same way I kind of talked about how a lot of dudes would say, oh, you don't have that much muscle, you have more fat. That is true, right? But you can still lose muscle on a cut. That's like the same mindset around dudes saying, oh well, the metabolism doesn't slow down that much, you know, it's overstated, but the metabolism does slow down. If your maintenance is 3,000 calories and you eat 2,000 calories, you know, where you're, and you lose 15 pounds, you know, losing 15 pounds, your, if activity level is equated for, your maintenance should drop max like 125 calories. Your new maintenance should be like 2850, 2870. But because you ate so low, your new maintenance might be closer to like 2600, right? So your metabolic health isn't as healthy, right? To even go back into like the fasting question, um, I'm very big on metabolic health. I work with older people too, and I tell them the importance of eating food and the importance of moving so that you can eat more, and the importance of food for having an active and healthy metabolism. That kind of goes into the same thing as how to make a deficit easier, because I want you to be eating as much food while you're losing fat, right? And that's going to help you make the deficit easy, help you maintain muscle, help you get fat off, and also help you not do a crazy reverse diet, right? You don't want to be just thinking about food all day, guys. You know, and depending on how lean you want to get, you're already going to be hungry regardless of what calories and things are, but you just make it worse for yourself when you do goofy shit like get into an 1,000 calorie deficit. And nowadays, 1,000 calorie deficits aren't even considered big deficits. Nowadays, motherfuckers are getting into like 1,500 calorie deficits. So, yeah. Next question is not really a question, but it's just, he just said step maxing, right? And again, he's asking from my Instagram. So I post my steps every day on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Randall Branch, guys. And I usually get somewhere between 25K to like 35K a day, minimum 25K. Sometimes I get 27, 29, 30. Sometimes I get 25 and 3, like 25,000 3 steps. But usually I get about 25,000 steps. And this is a very common question I get, is how do I get more steps? This is my phone right here, but I track most of my steps from my phone. And one of my favorite ways to get steps in is number one. First thing I'll say is there's no secret, right? And this is something I always say when people, oh, how do you do? There's no secret. I have to put my foot to the ground 25,000 times, just like anybody else who gets 25,000 steps, right? If you want to get 12,000 steps, put your foot to the ground 12,000 times. That's it. Like, there's no secret. But I will say that, like, you have to find ways in your schedule to get steps. So one thing about me, I live on the fourth floor on my apartment. I take the stairs down. I even take the stairs up. You know, I get water a lot, which I'm going to get right now. But I drink a lot of water a day, and I go downstairs to fill my water up a couple times a day. Um, you know, one thing I like to do is pace. I don't sit down when I eat. I'm either in the kitchen working on something, or I might hold my bowl and kind of pace around my kitchen. I pace while I eat. Sometimes I'll cook and I'll just pace and post some content. So You just have to find small ways to get steps in. And obviously, going for walks is going to be cool too. And you definitely want to go for walks and get outside. But the two best things that are going to help you get steps in is number one, pacing and just getting your steps in natural ways, like pacing and like parking far from the grocery store or from a venue so that you can naturally get steps in. And then number two, if you do work from like your MacBook or you do work from a desk, if you could get a step mill or like some type of, no, I believe a step mill is another name for a stairmaster. So not a step mill. I think it's called a like a step desk or whatever, like a walking pad. If you could get one of those, that's an easy way to get steps in, right? And again, go for walks, but you want to be able to like seamless. You want to get as much seamless steps into your day as possible. So yeah, I might go for a walk, a couple like maybe like once or twice a day, but most of my steps are pretty seamless, right? You want to add steps in as easy as possible, like low intensity, just living an active lifestyle. Still walk, but find ways to just throw in a couple like little tools for you to get steps in a seamless manner and just easily add it into your schedule. That's going to allow for it to be as easy as possible, if that makes sense, so that you can step max and maximize your steps. Last question: how to build and maintain a lean lifestyle. This kind of pretty much is like the sum of everything I've talked about outside of my first question when I was telling you guys the type of women I'm attracted to, right? um, you're gonna eat healthy foods, right? Well, I talk about what my favorite foods are. You're gonna eat healthy foods, and again, you guys notice I eat a lot of carbs, so carbs are gonna be one of your biggest plays, right? You're gonna eat a high carb diet that's gonna give you the activity, the brain function, the cognition, and the energy in the gym, right? The low cortisol carbs are very good for lowering cortisol because they release serotonin. You're gonna have a high carb diet. You're gonna make sure that you're very diligent with your calories, right? You don't want to be in heavy surpluses or heavy deficits. You want to be around that main gaining place where you know you have a good pulse on your maintenance. You're a couple hundred calories above it. You're right at that maintenance, or you're a couple hundred calories below it, depending on your goals, and you step max, right? Literally everything I've talked about. That's how you build and maintain a lean lifestyle, right? Now that's gonna be for you guys who are already pretty lean. If you're like where I was a few years ago and I was like 60, 70 pounds overweight, then you have to first get lean and then you can maintain it from like what I'm talking about. But if you're just out the game right now, then we gotta get you on track. We gotta fix your mindset. We gotta implement some lifestyle stuff. We might have to get you in the gym. There's a few things. It just depends on where you're at. But I can tell you from like what I do, that's how I maintain my lean lifestyle. It's by walking as much as I can, eating healthy, eating around maintenance, and just changing my calories depending on my goals, but not going to extremes like I used to. Like if you guys even go back and look at one of my last full day of eating I recorded, I believe my total for that day was 2,200 calories. And at that time, I was playing around with having low days and having high days. And I don't do none of that shit anymore. I'm finding my maintenance and I'm sticking as close to my maintenance as possible. Obviously, right now, I'm looking to get slightly leaner. So I'm a couple hundred calories below my maintenance and I'm just riding that out. Right? That's how you stay lean, right? A lot of you guys are like, damn, so I got to track calories. Yes, you do. But that's what's going to separate you from other people. Okay. And these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions that I've answered for Randall Branch Q&A part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a pretty long video because last time I looked at the clock, it was like 15 minutes ago. So I know this video is at least 20 minutes. At least 20 minutes. I hope you stay to the end. If you guys want a part 2, let me know in the comment section. And one of my community posts in the future in July, I'll make a part 2 Q&A. You guys can ask me anything self-development related, and I would love to answer it for you guys. If you guys want to join my coaching program, if you guys want to book a strategy call with me, or if you guys want a personalized nutrition or training program, check the first link in the description. If you guys want to access any of my ebooks or programs, as a matter of fact, I do have an ebook talking about how I went from fat to fit and the lifestyle and mental changes that you'll have to make. So for those of you who haven't gotten lean, that's gonna be an ebook that you could pick up, right? Before we get into maintaining how to get lean, you have to get lean first. So that's a great ebook for you guys. I have a V-Taper ebook / program, body game ebook for you guys that want to get on body game, and I got a few others. So go check that out. And my clothing line will be linked there as well. So everything that you guys need will be in the description. Follow me on Instagram at Randall Branch. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of my Q&A. Appreciate you guys. Randall Branch Media. Checking out, y'all. Peace.